spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of me or me. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dream. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't really. It ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun. It's an everyday theme. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram or beef.
Peace. How everybody doing, man?
Great, Noble. Great workout.
Right. Just typing something real fast. We're gonna get started. Man. We had an amazing workout. Gratitude to Noble Malik for always pushing us, getting our bodies right, because we need that. Islam.
Indeed. Wow.
How your body feeling, Mozo?
Oh, great, man. Feel awakened.
Right. Same here, Noble. Same here. Just give me 1 second. I'm getting all set up, man, and we're gonna.
All right.
We're gonna teach this. I'm about ready. Just gotta check it.
While you doing that, I'll just highlight some of the sponsors we got on here.
Absolutely.
If you want any books or literature, you can definitely check out our catalog on mypdfbooks.com, where reading funds the mental. We have a plethora of topics from spirituality, health and wellness, yoga, business, history, heritage, and just so much more. Another one of our sponsors, if you would like any hard copy, is bindedbooks.com. You can get a physical copy. Check out our catalog on that site. Also sponsored by our podcast, JKS, Journey to a Knowledge of Self, hosted by Alonzo Wright Bay, and a lot of us just talking about our journey into the study and the sciences and how we got up to this point. Another one of our sponsors is Moorsachi, the Moorish drip inspired by the Renaissance period. Definitely welcome y'all to check out that page and see some of the dope clothing that my brother has created on there. And if you're looking for a website, you can also go to ALO Design Pros, get your web design, AI, any logo. So, I mean, we're definitely a one-stop shop with all that we do. Last but not least, we have also Mayat Sons, if you like herbal teas to go with your books and literature. Get ready for this coming fall. And also we have MoorishHaberdasher.com for any regalia, turbans, fezzes, kufis, suits, workout gear. We have definitely worth checking out that site. And last but not least is the music, sponsored by Brian Hicks Bay, BHB Music. Check out his album, Transportation of Raw Materials. And with all that being said, Sheet, we ready?
Peace. Yes, sir. Gratitude, Noble. Gratitude for that introduction. Peace, Noble Malik. Peace. How you doing, Noble?
I'm doing good. I just had a great workout with the tribe. It's all good.
Absolutely, man. We encourage everybody that's been following us. Definitely work out with us. Inbox us. As you see our little text going down at the bottom, you can contact us, man, to get with us. There's no excuse not to get your mind, body, and spirit right. I also have another donation platform where I'm using Venmo, and that'll be uploaded for tomorrow. If we get that broadcast on the bottom, it's our Temple and School page, Burning Bush Tabernacle. and then at BBT Science Temple. So if anybody want to donate to our temple and school and join us, man. Before we get started, I've been getting a lot of emails for systematic classes. So I want to sit down with my tribe so we can put together lesson plans and people can go through them on their own. It'd be like maybe like a 2 or 3 week course, a crash course. We put it together with a syllabus. They go through it, you know what I mean? Make sure the answer's right. Then they go to the next level. You know, that's another aspect of what I want to do with this, with our teachers and with our school, to give people something to put in their hands, you know, give them completion, let them have something they can see who they are. But with that being said, Nobles, just gratitude for everyone. And today I've been on this astrological science for a lot of time, for a long time. And I just want us to see the science and the alchemy and the astrology and everything when I deal with the universalness of the Quran, because I deal with the esoteric and the exo. And that's what we're going to be dealing with today. We're going to be dealing with a little bit of the esoteric Islam. We're going to include a little bit of the interpretation of the Islamic traditions by use of the Hermetic, aka Kemetic arts of astrology and alchemy. Because the seeker of Kemetic, aka Hermetic wisdom, who follows the limitless path of light and whose spirit ignites the sparks of truth. That's what we here at the BBT, to investigate all the sciences, so we don't get caught up in one science where we miss the essence of the rest. And that's what I've been doing lately, showing my brothers and sisters this universal and this international science where we deal with alchemy and where we deal with the Kabbalah. As I start sending y'all the Zohar, I know Alando had been sending a lot of stuff showing how the Zohar pertains to basketball and pool, and I broke that down. And so now today, I'm gonna break down a little bit of the esoteric of Islam, because here at BBT, we're Sufis and the divine comes first. So I want to take y'all to another level of this science, to where a lot of, how can I say, mortal men haven't, you know, jumped on the spirit side yet, because I'm a spirit builder as well. They maybe not even thought about the third heaven. And so with me, I deal with things that synchronize. I deal with Kabbalah, I deal with alchemy, and I'm gonna show you some of the Zohar teachings of the Quran. Islam. So just to give you all a little preface, the history of man bears witness to the great struggle of discovering the right formula to conduct affairs in various aspects of our lives. Time and time again, men devise ideals of religious, political, and cultural nature that have continually brought solace from the enmity of senseless conflicts that afflicted their mode of existence, because man-made religion separates us. But the wisdom of the ancient is not actually based on absolute principles, rather than on the relative conditions proportional to the problems at hand. When I say we are philosophers, the nature of wisdom has never been to bind humans to a fixed legal structure. That's why in more science, we say we don't gravitate to one science where we miss the essence of the rest, by restricting their movement at every level of growth. Here at the BBT, Nobles, y'all know we don't restrict no one's growth. Your tassel is not pinned down. Your tassel is not pinned down. The BBT, the adapt chamber being a noble, is the way you think. That's how I take people through the adapt chamber. When people are like, man, Sheik, are you going to train me and are you going to initiate me? I say, yeah, through the wisdom, if you're willing to be a student. It's no phone call, I'm going to talk to you for 3 hours or 3 days and think you're going to get some wisdom like Lamarck or Malik have. That's not how this adapt chamber works. The adapt chamber is me teaching you the lessons. You asking the right questions, just like if you was at my dojo, actually holistically, not just paper. You have to live it. You have to understand it. And you know when you're ready to go to the next level. Therefore, the laws serve best when they carry the wisdom of preventing the disastrous than dealing with them afterwards. And the wisdom serves best when it abides by the principles of redemption and growth. That's what we do here. We're resurrecting, we're growing. True wisdom forms the very essence of all the magical ideas that have transferred man's primeval existence into a responsible creature capable of serving the divine plan. That's the true aspect of alchemy when we're dealing with it in this metaphysical aspect. And the path of growth had never been easy because the ideas of wisdom always requires sacrifice of the ego and vanity in order to counter the challenges possessed by human mind to accept the necessary changes That's why a lot of men don't make it, because you have to destroy the lower self. You have to destroy the ego. You have to. And when man honors man, we honor Allah. This is just not for every mortal man. This is for the extraterrestrial man that have God in their heart. And eventually, wisdom represents the agency responsible for the unfoldment of the human potential to embody the divine archetype. We got to remember that man in our consciousness carries the weight of eternity that ever haunts us in the form of consciousness, because we conscious. So the great ideal of wisdom were incorporated into the mystery teachings of the ancient Egyptians in the form of Hermeticism. A lot of times they connotate it and they call it Hermetic. That is why the Kemetic, aka the Hermetic ideas, outline the tenets of all major philosophies in the world that include objectively, especially when I break down the Zohar, and and resolution in the exercise of the traditions. That's why the Quran, I don't care if you spell it with a Q or a K, is considered as the book of divine guidance by Al-Islam Muslims, whose main subject constitutes man. From a Kemetic standpoint, aka Hermetic standpoint, the Quran and the Quranic mysteries carry a great deal of connection to the Kemetic arts of astrology and alchemy. And I'm going to show y'all and just give a little example of the symbolism of the Kemetic, aka Hermetic precepts that are used to divine the notions of the highest aspirations in man's ethical behavior by the Islamic traditions. And so, as I give you a little crash course, the esoteric Islam includes the interpretation of Islamic traditions by the use of Kemetic arts, astrology, and alchemy. It discusses the mystical teachings of the Quran from the standpoint of ancient mysteries and modern metaphysics, in an attempt to understand the message of the Quran in its structural design. Remember, everything is built with a structure. I'm about to walk you to an introduction of this. So when you look at these mystery letters of the Quran, it's called the Huruf al-Qutat, or the Huruf al, or the El Muqattaat, Hurufalmuqattaat. So in the Quran 96:1, read in the name of your Lord who has created. So I'm going to give a little investigation into the mystery letters of the Quran called the Huruf al-Muqattaat. Here is the Hermetic, aka Kemetic arts of astrology, alchemy, and symbolism. They're all employed to decipher. Remember, everything is a cipher. That's what brothers, when they just get caught up in the outside meaning, they're not connected. They're not close associated. They're not even dealing with the alchemy aspect. We're not even dealing with the esoteric meaning. And that's what I'm showing you today, universal. And you got to deal with the cipher, their meanings, just like etymology and potential significance for the human spiritual growth. The extraordinary perfection in the design of the universe is flabbergasted the human intelligence since the immemorial. You got to understand the complexity of living organisms in nature.
Hey, Sheik,
Yes, sir.
can we break down like etymology for those people who really don't understand how elementary it is?
Yes, go ahead.
Because etymology, there's only really one time throughout your course of education, a period of time, I should say, that they actually go over it in depth. And it's really K through 12, because that's really where you only have the spelling bee. And when you have the spelling bees is what breaks down the etymology of words. So those people who've been in spelling bees in the elementary, they could really understand language and linguistics and break it down because they understand the etymological breakdown of words. And we
Absolutely.
have to understand the etymological breakdown of words so we don't get caught in an emotional state on how we feel things mean. We actually can prove what things mean based on etymology, not our
Absolutely.
feeling.
Noble, it couldn't have been said better. Just like when I showed the film with the little European Albion, the Trinidad boy, and they had him spelled Nagas. And he's like, well, put it in a sentence. Give me the root of the word. And they told me it was the ancient people from the continent of Africa, Ethiopia, that's royal. He's like, can you give me the root of the word? Give me the etymology. And so he knew what N-I-G-G-A, he knew it was Nagas, N-A-G-E-S, N-E-G-U-S. I forget how he spelled. I think it was N-A-G-A-S.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Nagas. Yeah.
Yes. So he got the etymology, the root of the word. Absolutely, Noble Malik. And that's elementary. And that's how a lot of our brothers and sisters get caught up, because we don't do the research of how was the word written, when was the word written, and what did it mean when it was written. That's why I said we can't arbitrarily explain things to make it fit for us. And we have to get out of our emotion, especially when we're dealing with law. When everybody say, I'm down with reparations, but reparations is wrapped up in law. So if you're not willing to deal with law from no arbitrary perspective, you can't have a conversation with Malik, because you're going to be emotional. You're going to be emotional. And we don't deal with emotion. We deal with facts. Islam, Noble, very well said. Very well said.
A lot of writings is actually written in allegory and parable. So if you don't know what things mean, you get caught up and tricked.
Yes. And that's especially when it deal with law, especially when dealing with indigenous people law and policy, especially when it start dealing with the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. But our people so emotional, they operate on feelings, just like when they vote. They operate on feelings, not law and policy. They operate on DEI, this Democrat ethical inclusion, not based on who's the best person. Because I showed y'all the film, I sent y'all the film of Donald Trump when Jesse Jackson was running for president and Donald Trump was his biggest supporter. Did y'all watch that?
Yep.
And y'all saw that. So you got to see, when did it change? Because at one point, they all love Donald Trump. Donald Trump springboarded Jesse Jackson's political campaign, and they know it, and I know it. A lot of the stuff be a joke.
Why?
Yes. Yes. You have to understand language. You have to understand everything. You have to understand what we be saying about civics and law. I'm down with reparations, but a slave that's been born in the United States is never going to get nothing. Only the master. These is facts.
I self-law and master. You better catch on.
Yep. And when we say we white by law, we didn't say we know European. We say we white by law. What's our nationality? Moorish American. What's our race? We agree with Asiatic. What's our status? Free white. If you don't understand that, well, a lot of our brothers and sisters are lost due to a lack of knowledge. And we operate on feelings. We operate on feelings. Any elder, any college professor promulgate that black stuff out of Africa and you black, to me, that's just an agent. That's COINTELPRO, because you should know better. Especially if you're a teacher, especially if you know language. You know black is silver mortis. According to science and law, is black deaf in the eyes of the law? Yes. Well, why would I identify as Negro, black, and color, or African American, something that's synonymous to slave? Why? You couldn't even. Because I feel.
Because I feel I am.
Yes, and we got our brothers that push that agenda, that spread out of Africa stuff with that old science. I said, man, black is beautiful, but it's not a nationality. Let's deal with law. Let's deal with science. Let's deal with Declaration of Human Rights. Let's deal with international law. Let's deal with the rights of the indigenous people. Let's deal with the SF 181 form. Let's deal with the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, from no biasness. Let's deal with the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. Let's deal with manumissions. Let's deal with the Reconstruction Law. And then we can have a serious question. But until our brothers and sisters are willing to sit down and have a real conversation with somebody that can help us identify to who we are, we're going to always be subjected to slavery. Always. Because we can't agree under one nation name. We're not stripping our culture. We are a national name. And the work has been done. And we have to walk out the house in synchronicity. That's what this is about. That's what that's what we teach here at the BBT. We're not teaching we can't convert you. It ain't nothing to convert you to. We ain't converted. We under the quicker roads. Yes, and we definitely don't teach hate. You see me, I'm a sheik. I go in all spiritual houses as an Adept, as a God man. I must. Why? Because that's where my people at. I'm going into the churches. I'm going to the synagogues. I'm going to the mosques. I'm going to the parks, to churches, to prisons. Why? Because I'm a God man. And I adapt to my people. And I use all holy books. We ain't letting nobody separate us no more. I'm not. Man-made religion separate us. The Bible and the Quran synchronize. We here to be a clear message. We under the triple roles. And we're going to break everything down to show you that anything outside yourself is true shirk. We're not no hate group. We're at the BBT. We don't rock like that.
Nope.
But you got to understand that we under intelligence here at the BBT. And us as adapts throughout the ages, all my muftis are adapts, nobles. We use encoded symbolism and hieroglyphics in our communication to transmit the insight to posterity in order to guard them from self-destruction, human behaviors. It was only for the elite, for the Jacobites, to have this wisdom. It ain't for everybody to understand how to read Kabbalistically. It ain't for everybody to understand the signs and symbols. It ain't for everybody to know how to read the metanetter the right way once you got the alphabet to be a decipher. It ain't for everybody to know how to do gematria. It ain't, and get it right. It's for the right ones to get it right, you know? It's for those to get it right. That's what we're here to do. I'm not here to arbitrarily explain and try to convert you to something. That ain't what more science consists of. I'm all the holy books. I had a goofy more, or you think you Dr. York. I said, no, you think I'm Dr. York. Or you think you Elijah Muhammad. No, you think I'm that. Or you think you didn't know, you think I'm that. Because I know I'm all that. I'm all that in one. I'm in the flesh. Yes, I'm an educator. Yes, I'm a scholar. And that's the problem with us. We think it's only going to be a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James for every dispensation, Noble Malik, but we don't show the diversity of who we are as scholars and educators and leaders and businessmen. This ain't no fake social media. This ain't no fake pay for your leisure. This is real. I'm in Vegas right now.
People
It's like
believe
people
in things that they
my
never
page.
seen before.
Yeah. I say,
That's
man,
the
like
problem.
last week in Adapt class, the Noble, no, I forget what class it was. I think I was just speaking. And I said, I'm going to be in Vegas. He was like, well, anybody in Vegas? I said, I'll be in Vegas Friday. Friday, I'll be in Vegas. I'm here. That's why I be telling men they don't be serious what we doing. And it's others that be serious with this science. It be others that have me come travel and teach. We use this internet and we can meet up. It's too many of us to be lost. There's too many Moors think somebody gonna nationalize them and denationalize them, acting as some sovereign citizens. Talk about they're gonna expatriate from this de facto government, and then you stateless. Don't understand that you are humans, that you are an American, and we lost. And all of these Moors operate as al-Islam Muslims. No, I don't have a problem with you, but that's not Moor science. It can't be. We don't operate with nothing outside ourselves. But like the ancient texts that were meant to guide you and to guide humanity, brothers and sisters, the Quran seems to be a book designed for the specific purpose of raising consciousness in human beings. It's definite evidence of the esoteric teachings in the terms of the Quran. And I'm just going to give a little crash course of the esoteric teachings, because a real Sufi, a real Sheikh is going to teach his brothers and sisters, Noble Malik, the esoteric and the exoteric. We're going to teach the eso and the exo. That's what we do at the BBT. We're going to teach gematria. We're going to teach the Gnostic scriptures. We're going to teach everything. I'm going to teach the Kabbalah. I'm going to teach you Zohar. I'm going to teach you how to read Kabbalistically, everything. I'm going to teach you math, reading, arithmetic. I'm going to teach you finances. I'm going to teach you language. Why? Because this is the clock of destiny. This is a real education. This is a real cipher. This is a real think tank. And once we get the right brothers and sisters, we're going to take over. An example of such text is the mystery abbreviated letters of the Quran. Now, you know it's abbreviated letters of the Quran, popularly known as the Hurf al-Qutab or the Qurat. H-U-R-O-O-F. I might be pronouncing this a little bit wrong. A-L-M-U-Q-A-T-T-A-T. Therefore, in this little demonstration, we're going to show you some of the meanings of the context of the Quranic teachings. Now, y'all got the literature, the mysterious abbreviation letters. Can you put those letters up there, Noble? Yep, you can scroll up a little bit. Just like the Alf. Yep, keep page up a little bit. Yep, you can. Yep, keep going up. Keep going up. The next page, pass. Yep, pass that. Yep, right there, right there. So you see the abbreviated letters, the Quranic order of the mystery letters. Aries, Taurus. You see it, 3, 6, 9. You see what? The so-called 12 disciples, the 12 astrological signs of your brain. Just like I broke down yesterday in the clock of destiny with the sun in the middle, or Muhammad in the middle, with all the astrological signs in it. I've been breaking this down to show y'all this science all through, just like on the C. Freeman L chart. I've been showing y'all this, walking you through this. I've been teaching you. I've been taking my teeth out. We've been getting on Similac per se. So this should be very simple for you to catch this universal science. Only a God man does it like this. How? Lead the way, for a child can understand it. Thank for the donation, Noble. One of
Well,
my
Sheikh, I
Noble
mean, it's
says,
funny. We get on the nipple. We don't get on the Similac. Them other people be on that Similac.
right. I was hoping to say we get on that real breast milk. We get on that breast milk. That's right. But if you like the teachings, my Noble said, what he said, if you like the teachings, yep, that's it. But let me get back to these teachings. I don't know, my internet tripping. Yeah, yep. My internet's just tripping on my YouTube. But the mysterious letters of the Arabic alphabets mentioned in the table that y'all shown and through, they do not appear in alphabetical order. They don't appear in alphabetical order, y'all, in the Quran, but they are actually stated as prefixes to certain chapters of the book. And throughout the Muslim history, there have been theories proposed to justify their existence in the Quran. A few have suggested that they were initials of the scribes who had written them down to dictations of those chapters, while others commented on them to be some of a special mystical significance, which is known only to God himself. The letters appear in the Quran successively in order and fashion. And that's why I tell people you got to know how to read instead of getting caught up in some man-made stuff and understand the analogy, the parable, and the symbology in the Quran or the etymology in these ancient teachings and these glyphs and these letters. So you got the Alf, Lam, Mim, chapter 2, 3, 29, 30, 31, and 32. I'm not going to break each one of those chapters and what they down. I'm going to go through it because I'm going to teach it later. But it's a system. I told y'all everything in Islamic teachings and in the Bible is a system. Just like how I break the Bible and the Quran down and to show you how law governs all events. And I can break down all facets of law, local, state, federal, criminal, how in the Bible, marine time, through the Bible and to the Quran to show you that synchronicity. So certain surahs have certain initial prefixes to them, which are called abbreviated letters. A number of conjunctures have been made as to their meaning. Opinions are divided as to the exact meaning of each particular letter or combination of letters. And it's agreed that only Allah knows their true exact meaning. Well, if Allah only knows their true exact meaning, that's a God man standing up straight up, arm, leg, arm, head. So we know this. If man was made in the image of Allah, we can decipher everything. That's why I say it ain't just God, it's the God man. Because man was made in the image of Allah and the word was made flesh. So nothing's a mystery to us anymore. There's nothing a mystery. It just takes someone to decipher it. And the presence is not inconsistent with the character of the Quran as a plain knowledge book. The book of nature is also a plain book, but how few can fully understand it. Everyone can get out of the Quran's plain guidance for his life, which is the exoteric meaning. But what about the Esa? According to his capacity for spiritual understanding, because if you're not on a high level of spiritual understanding, you can't get high levels of spirituality understanding out of these texts like we do. When you eliminate all biasness, and you can go in all religious houses because we're using the same books. As his capacity grows, as your capacity grows, so will your understanding grow. And the whole book is recorded for all time. It must necessarily contain truth that only gradually unfold themselves to humanity. It must gradually unfold as you have a good map and guide, as you go through the ranks. Just like if you're going through martial arts, just like if you're going through the ranks of academia, same thing. When you're dealing with me as your map and guide, you're going through the ranks of learning, your mental progress. It's like I'm giving you all the keys to success to make you a high graduate, to make you a master teacher, for you can understand. That's what I do at the BBT. And when we have our systematic classes, history, law, and civics and finances, to build yourself up, because there's no trickery with what I teach. You're not going to wake up magically and be successful. It's not going to happen. It's going to take some work. And there are 29 chapters of the Quran. And then when I tell people, the Quran speaks of Jesus, Yahshua, damn more than it does of Allah. In your Quran, ask your phone how many times does the Quran speaks of Jesus. I think it speaks to Jesus, man. I can't even count on my hand. I can't even count. But it's 29 chapters of the Quran that mention the abbreviated prefixes. And the 14 letters of the 28 alphabet of the Arabic language nobles are used in different combinations in those prefixes, among which two pairs are homophonic, different glyphs with the same sound. Remember that, different glyphs with the same sound. I'm giving you etymology, making them that makes them like the same. It makes them 12 sound characters in total because of the homophonic pairs of letters. It acts as one character, so it combines something to one character. In the ensuing discussion, that the 12 characters appear in a definite order in the Quran, which corresponds to, guess what? The 12 astrological signs. The 12 astrological signs. Peace, Noble. the 12 astrological signs, and such the features of the prefix signatures as astrological signs form the subject of this dissertation. So, in other words, these abbreviated prefixes summarize the chapters themselves, and letters in the order of the appearance in the Quran. It represents the 12 astrological signs, nobles. These letters are indicated in the attached table alongside their corresponding sign. So the first letter you see is the L, it's Aries. We broke this down in Clock of Destiny, but we're going to break it down a little bit more to show you the science in the Quran, the alchemy, the Kemetic, the Kabbalah. I'm showing you this in the Quran. I'm showing you the Kemetic teachings, a lot of times connotated as Hermetic teachings in the Quran. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me, nobles?
Islam.
Absolutely.
Okay. Very simple. It's not going to take long. I'll see if I'll be able to get through all the 12 astrological signs. The Elf appears as a prefix in the beginning of the second chapter of the Quran, and therefore it's the first letter of the Quranic sequence. Astrologically, it refers to the signs of Aries, as it signifies the subject of warfare in the Quran. Also, the fighting of wars was proclaimed for the first time in the chapter of the Quran, which is akin to the archetype of the sign of Aries. The Quran says, and I quote, "Warfare is ordained for you, though it is hateful unto you, but it may happen that ye hate a thing which is good for you." It's like some people say they hate working out, but it's good for you. Some people say they hate asparagus and all that, but it's good for you. And it may happen that you love a thing which is bad for you. You can love a thing that's bad for you as well. See the science in this. Allah knows, ye know not. Ayat 2, verse 216. A scholar of the Quran, one of the scholars, Quranic scholars that I love to study, and I study myself, Muhammad Marduk Pickthall. He written the following in a commentary on the chapter. All suggestions to the contrary notwithstanding, it seems probable that the whole of this surah was revealed during the first 4 years after the Hijrah, and that by far the greater portion of it was revealed into the first 18 months of the Prophet's reign at Al-Madinas, that is to say, before the Battle of Badr. And this is what it says: the possible necessity of fighting had been foreseen in the terms of the oath taken at Al-Quba by the Muslims of Yathrib before the fight, when people take oath to defend the Prophet as they would their own wives and children. And the first commandment to fight was revealed to the Prophet before his fight from Mecca, from his flight from Mecca. But there was no actual fighting by the Muslims until the Battle of Badr. Many of them were reluctant, having before been subject to a rule of strict nonviolence. It was with difficulty that they could accept the idea of fighting, even in self-defense, as can be seen from several verses in the surah. So the meaning of the glorious Quran and an exploratory translation by Muhammad. The letter Al is also mentioned in chapter 3 of the Quran. So I want us to get a clear understanding of what's going on here, and where it says, "And remember, when thou set it forth at daybreak from the house folk to assign to the believers their position for battle, Allah was hearer, knower." Are y'all catching this analogy and these parables? Are y'all catching these analogies and parables?
So these are body parts, all right?
Yeah. Yes.
Internally, body parts. You battling with the mind. You battling with certain parts of desires and things of that nature. Which war? You have a war with inside yourself. It's not an outside war with other people. It's a battle from within.
Yes. Yes. And Malik, that's exactly what I be trying to show brothers and sisters. That's, how can I say that, that's deal with the outside all the time. I said, you are missing so much of the teachings. You're missing the aspect that you can help yourself and you can help your wife. But a lot of brothers so caught up in the outer opinions trying to convert someone. And that's not what we do here. It's not a conversion. It's a resurrection. If you catching what we're saying, if you catching this science.
Synchronize.
Yes. And that's what I'm showing to people. I said, listen, what I'm teaching is not complex. I'm not even in a high complexity area yet. I'm not there. in verse 3, Ayah 121, the mention of daybreak and positions for the battle are the allegorical. They are allegorical references to the astrological sign of Aries. Let me break that down. You got to remember, when thou settest forth at daybreak for thy housefolk to assign to the believers their position for the battle, Allah was hearer and knower. Chapter 3, verse 121. Now, in that verse, you got to understand daybreak and position for the battle are the allegorical reference. Once again, let me say that. You got to understand the mention of daybreak and a position for the battle are allegorical references to the astrological sign of Aries. Similar messages are also present and presented with the letter ALIF, Alf, in verse 3, 13, 3, 153, 3, 156 and 158, and 3, 167 and 175 of the Quran. It's very simple. This stuff is very simple. The letter Lam, Lam, it depicts the sign of Taurus in the Quran. You see how we've given this universal, where I don't care what type of Muslim these brothers and sisters be, Noble Malik, but us as Sufis, as Adapts, no matter numbers, don't lie. When we deal with this universal Islam, all they can do is say Islam, because we're dealing with that. We're dealing with the Sufism. We're dealing with universal science that you can't deny. We're dealing with the 12 zodiacs. I told y'all we're dealing with the 12 reactors in the brain. We are dealing with high science in elementary, in an elementary setting. Watch this. The astrological symbol of Taurus is the bull, and its characteristics include material wealth and abundance. While dealing with the archetype Taurus, the Quran teaches humans to control their desires of amassing material goods and use their wealth in the service of some nobler objectives. The following verse to give excellent description of the signs. And when Moses said unto his people, lo, Allah commanded you that ye sacrifice a cow, they said, doest thou make game of us? He answered, Allah forbid that I should be among the foolish. They said, pray for us
So
until
that
the
means
Lord.
sacrifice material wisdom. I mean, material
Yes.
material
Yes.
things. And we talking about Taurus because he values material things. So sacrifice the material things, not necessarily the bull. The bull represents Taurus, represents the love for material things. So you got to sacrifice the material things.
And just not being wasteful. Like I use analogy, when much given is much required. Like part of our nature, we are the Jews, it's charity. So you can't have a whole bunch of money and don't support your spiritual aspect and buying clothes and doing all this. No, it's what are you willing to sacrifice to get to this next level of wisdom, Malik? That's what this is about. When I say this is universal, I told y'all in the Quran, I'm gonna jump into the astrological signs to make it universal. So no matter what type of Muslim you are, if you a Sufi, if you're dealing with the SO and XO, all you can do is be quiet and listen. If not, you operating on man-made religion. No Lamar, and you don't know the clock of destiny, and you don't know the astrological signs, and you don't know the 12 reactors that's in your brain. What's above is below. You have no idea. Noble Malik, you have no idea. They can't. You know, they're operating on man-made help. And see, the cow neither will the cow neither with calf nor immature. She is between the two conditions. So do that which ye are commanded. They said, pray for us until thy Lord, he make it clear to us of what color she is. Moses answered, he said, very, she is a yellow cow, bright is her color, gladness, beholders. Pray for us unto the Lord, that he may clear to us what cow she is. That cow symbolizes something. Cows are much alike to us. And lo, if Allah's will, we may be led aright. Moses answered, he said, very, she is a cow, unyoked. She plunges not the soil, nor the water, the tilth, whole and without mark. They said, now the bringest the truth. So they sacrifice her, though almost they did not. Surah 2, 67 to 71. I hope that's an analogy. And see, in verse 67, Moses asks his people to metaphorically forego the practices of accumulating wealth by sacrificing the cow, which would symbolize the characteristics of the Taurus. But in verse 68, the people of Moses contended to defend their practices by asking questions that were meant to examine Moses' knowledge of the sign of Taurus. I don't want to stay too far in that, but I want us to catch the metaphysical aspect. This is going in a whole nother realm. It said the cow was unyoked, meaning Taurus to be a sign of spring. It did not labor in the earth because the earth was already fertile. And without mark meant that it was a fixed sign that could not be influenced by the changing pattern of the seasons. Such were the description of Taurus, that people of Moses were left with no option but to reluctantly sacrifice the cow. We got to understand the science. And the prefix letter, the LAM, also appear in other topics of the Quran, dealing with the archetype properties of Taurus, such as wealth management, usury, cow worship, greed, materialism, in the verses 2 and 54, 2 and 57, 2 and 61, 2 and 168. I can go on and on with the verses, but I'm giving you a crash course. The letter MIM, which is Gemini. I'm showing you the astrological signs all through the Quran. The letter MIM is used here to indicate the sign of Gemini in the Quranic chapters. The prefix appears in many chapters, but for the sake of this build, the archetype Gemini characteristic and the character. The following ritual has been commanded to be performed in the giving verses. Lo, the mountains, Al-Safa and Al-Marwah, are among the indications of Allah. It is therefore no sign for him who is on pilgrim to the house of God or visit it to go around them as the pagan custom is. And he who do good of his own accord, for him, lo, Allah is responsive, aware. So the mountains named Al-Safa and Al-Marah mentioned here are allegorical representations of the Gemini twins. It's a representation of the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux. While the pilgrimage to Mecca, Muslims are required to do what? Run between those two mountains. How many times? 7 times for performing the ritual known as Sa'i. And the story related to the origin of this ritual says that Abraham had left his wife Hagar with his infant son Ishmael as a spiritual trial for them in the desert. And when Ishmael got thirsty and started to cry, Hagar ran from one mountaintop to another mountaintop in order to catch sight of some passing caravan, so to produce drinking water. This she repeated 7 times before getting back to Ishmael. Thereby she found that a spring had broken forth, the place where the crying baby kicked the sand with his feet. All parables. Interestingly, Ishmael is also mentioned in the Quran to describe the sign of Sagittarius, which is opposed to Gemini. Also, the rapid movement of Hagar between the two mountains is very characteristic of Mercury, y'all, the ruling planet of Gemini. All through the Quran, the Gemini properties with the prefix MIM are also expressed in verse 2, 102, 2, 221, 3 and 61, 3 and 195, 7 and 127. Man, I can't, it's too many scriptures to go from. That's why when you be a student with me, you get to get the literature and you get to read it for yourself. You get to go back and study it and ask questions to build yourself up. The letter Psi is Cancer in your Quran. The astrological sign Cancer corresponds to the letter Sad in the Quran, or SAD, Cancer being at the summer solstice and is ruled by the lunar planet Moon. In astrology, nobles, the sun and the moon represent king and queen, respectively. And therefore, Cancer is also one of the 2 royal signs. And in the Quran, it talks about the ideas to be found in good government by citing the example of King David, all of the analogy in the parable, and half the story of litigants coming to thee, how they climbed the wall into the royal chamber, how they burst in upon David, and he was afraid of them. They said, be not afraid, we are 2 litigants, one of whom hath wronged the other. Therefore judge aright between us, but not unjust, and show us the fair way. This, my brother, has 99 ewes, while I had 1 ewe. And he said, entrust it to me, and he conquered me in speech. David said, he hath wronged thee in demanding thy ewe, in addition to his ewes. And lo, many partners oppressed one another. So what y'all got to understand that the 2 litigants of verse 21 who have broken into the royal chambers allegory represents the sign of Aries and Libra. And the verse 22 says that King David, which is Cancer, got afraid of the litigants. That's Aries and Libra, because those two signs were making a square angle to him. Remember, a square angle. In verse 23, the U's metaphorically represent the sign of Capricorn, opposite Cancer. And the litigant with the 99 U's is Aries, while the one with a single U is Libra. There you go. Absolutely, Malik. The Aries, with its assertive and aggressive attitudes, was trying to rob Libra, even of a single U that it possessed. And in verse 24, David, which is Cancer, uses royal authority to diminish Aries with regards to his behavior, and also recognize the importance of the responsible use of power from this episode. All that can be found in the Quran, in all the ayats, all of it. The letter Ra is Leo. The letter Ra of Arabic language, it depicts the sign of Leo in the Quran. The sign of Leo is ruled by the sun as the choice of the word Ra. Here is interesting, since it is also the name of the ancient Egyptian solar deity. The word appears in connection to the story of Joseph in the Quran. The story says that Joseph was the brightest among his brothers, who out of jealousy were inclined to place him in the pit. Remember, you can read the story of Joseph in Ayat 12, 4 and 5, where Joseph said unto his father, O my father, lo, I saw in a dream 11 planets and the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrating themselves unto me, aka bowing. He said, Oh, my dear son, tell not thy brethren of this vision, lest they plot a plot against thee. And you got to remember, in verse 4 and 5, Joseph, aka Leo, tells his father, aka the sun, that he saw 11 planets. That metaphysically represents what? 11 astrological signs, his brothers, besides Leo himself. It is good to know here that in the Greek mythology, nobles, the sun god Apollo had been attributed with the characteristic of prophecy and vision. Apollo was known to be an oracler god, and as a patron of Delphi, was responsible for the Delphic oracle. Thus, the following visionary attributes of Joseph also are mentioned in the Quran in Ayat 12, 101. And also the ability of Joseph to impart vision in the darkest is described in the following verse. Go with this shirt of mine, aka Joseph, and lay it on the father's face. It will become again a seer and come to me with all your folk. You got to understand this. Joseph became a lord in Egypt, which was acknowledged as an archetype land of the kings at the time. And once together again with his father, he realized his earliest dream had become realization. So the science of that, when they came in before Joseph, he took his parents unto him and said, come into Egypt safe. So if Allah's will, and he placed his parents on the D's, and they fell down before him and prostrated. You see the analogy of the science, this interpretation of the dream of old. So my Lord have made it true, and he has shown me kindness. You got to see that parable and what these astrological science is doing. It's very simple, y'all. The letter Kaf or Kaf, Q-A-F, that's Virgo. The letter K-A-F corresponds to the sign of Virgo and expressed in the Quran with a classic allegory of mutable signs. Mary in the following story of the Quran represents Virgo as being a virgin. She is responsible for the immaculate conception of Jesus. I don't want to read off to the scripture because I want to do a crash course. I want y'all to read it. We can have a discussion. The verse 16 passage indicates that the story is regarding the sign of Virgo at the time when it raises at the eastern horizon. The trunk of the palm tree in verse 23 is a metaphorical reference to the mutable cross comparison of the sign of Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius. And in verse 24, one cried upon her from below her is Sagittarius. Beneath is Pisces. Ripened dates of verse 25 is a reference to the sign of Gemini, while Mary herself is a metaphor for the sign of Virgo. Also in verse 26, Mary, Virgo, gets her food from Gemini, her water from Pisces, and her constellation from Sagittarius.
Mary again. I don't think people get it. They apply that to biblically, then they start to understand.
Yes, absolutely,
Because that's very important about the so-called immaculate conception, the way that people, especially in the church house, really actually understand it, because it's a metaphor and symbology to astrology and astronomy, and
Yes,
people have a
yes,
disconnect because they equate that to a feeling of what they understand instead of the fact of what it is.
yes. And that's what we're doing right here. The letter oh, so I gave you all that. The letter Kaf, Kaf, or Qaf is also described with the Virgo characteristics in the Quran in verses 42 and 20 and 42 and 27 and 42 and 37. Y'all got the wisdom to go through it. The letter HA is Libra. The letter Ha expresses the Libra archetype of justice and good behavior, aka Maya as well. In the Quran, it is emphasized very strongly at many places as the most important and indeletable principle in nature. Usually this letter is astonished of a blazing fire as their punishment, which is the element of the opposite sign of Aries. So when you do this wisdom, you will see it. In verse 19 and 22 is an example of the self-evident demonstration of the divine justice in nature. Verse 19 of the Quran, by mentioning the phased enemies of Allah, is also making a political standpoint against those collective groups who use ideologies or slogans to indoctrinate the ignorant masses of people, get people caught up in false truth, like get people caught up in political lies, and we base things off facts. The masses then act as a mammoth creature, a state with its own currency, aka blood, and social structure, body. And once the head of this creature gets drugged, then the body can be compromised or paralyzed. And therefore, those body parts act as a witness against the head. That's a beautiful analogy.
That's like
The theme of
alcoholism.
justice, yes, yes. The themes of justice are also expressed in verses 42, 32, and 34, 42, 40, and 30, 40, 46, and 50. Y'all got the wisdom. I want y'all to read it. I want y'all to go through it and read it. I want to go through this. The letter Ya or Ya, Y-A, that's that sign of Scorpio, is depicted in the Quran with the letter YA. Astrologically, Scorpio, on the one hand, deals with the extreme human behaviors such as sex, subversion, death, destruction. Now, on the other hand, it embodies the principles of regeneration, rejuvenation, reproduction, and sanguine existence. Quran described this sign of Scorpio in the following style: and a token unto them is that we bear their offspring in the laden ship, and have created for them of the light thereof. Thereon they ride. And if we will, we drown them, and there is no help for them, neither can they be saved, unless by mercy from us, as the comfort for a while. And when it said unto them, beware of that which is before you, and that which beyond you, that haply ye may find mercy, they are heedless. See, all this symbology does it connects to the astrological signs. Verse 41 and 44 can be hailed as the euphemistic description of human sexuality. Verse 41, the Latin ship is a metaphor for a mother's womb. Verse 42 says that babies inside the mother are in the same state as on a sailing ship. And verse 43 to 44, that the dew waterly environment of the mother's womb, the babies could also be made to drown. Same way, how the ship is on that water is how the baby's inside the mother's womb on that water. Look into the science. Verse 45 relates the guidance of humans to be aware of the Scorpio attitudes in life. The Quran also says, have not man seen that we have created him from a drop of seed? Yet lo, he is an open opponent, and he hath coined us for a similitude, and have forgotten the fact of this creation, saying, who will receive these bones when they have rotted away? Says, he will revive them who produce them at the first, for he is knower of every creation. This is so simple. In verse 77 and 79, the positive attributes of Scorpio as being a sign of rebirth, regeneration, is emphasized. The sign is also allegorically mentioned in verse 36, 47, 36, 36 to 40, all through the Quran. Y'all got the science to read it for yourself. The letter AIN or AIM, Sagittarius. All the stuff, how we breaking it down that we get out the Quran. Not no man-made stuff that hate. Talk about a man can't be friends with a Christian, all that man-made stuff. Ain't nobody got time for that hateful stuff. We dealing with science because the Creator created all men. The letter AIN in the Quran represents the sign of Sagittarius. The symbol of Sagittarius in the astrological or astrology is that of a celestial archer who shoots an arrow towards the heavens. The Sagittarius characteristics include exploration of the universe by traveling to the exotic areas and experience novelties and lifestyle. Sagittarius also keen to participate in the intellectual discoveries and philosophical endeavors. The Quran described the sign by mentioning its attributes. I don't want to read too much more, but I want us to get these teachings and study it for ourselves. But I'll be giving you everything. I'm trying to crash course you. You got to remember the character. I hear a lot of speaking in the background. The character of Ishmael. Remember, in this context, it's a metaphor for Sagittarius in the Quran. Even in Judeo-Christianity traditions, Ishmael, son of Abraham, is described as an archer or a hunter, which symbolically benefits the sign of Sagittarius. When you look at it, in verse 55, the sight of his Lord is mentioned in connection to Ishmael, which is not stated regarding any other prophet. So I want y'all to understand that. I don't want to stay too far in them. Let's go to the next letter, the Ta, which is the Capricorn. The letter Ta, T-A, depicts the sign of Capricorn in the Quran. Capricorn starts at the winter solstice, and therefore it is the sign where the royalties struggle. And it is also opposite to the sign of Cancer. And furthermore, there is a relationship between the letter Sad, S-A-D, of Cancer and Ta. Remember, I started putting a lot of this stuff together, and I'll break it down in a whole nother cipher, but I'll do that later. Of Capricorn, because the hieroglyph of the letter Sad, S-A-D, seems like that of a snake. It seems like that of a snake, y'all. I hope y'all picking up the science, with his head above the tail. While the hieroglyph letter of the T-A, the Ta, is that of a snake with its tail above the head. In ancient Egypt, the straight cobra was known as Urias or Urias, U-R-A-E-U-S, and it's used to symbolize the sovereignty, the royalty, and divine authority. That is why it appears on the foreheads of ancient Egyptian royalties in their pictures and statues, nobles. In the Quran, the story of Capricorn is stated in the following fashion. In Surah chapter 20, verse 17 to 24. I don't have time to read it. I want y'all to break it down and read it for y'all can ask questions because it's right in here. It'll take me too long. That's why I challenge people when they dealing with me. You give donations, I'll give you the literature for you can study and you can come back and ask questions as we have our private history and civics classes. I'm just giving a crash course right now. But you can find all this stuff in verse 18. Moses described his staff that was used by him as a tool for helping him in the struggle of life. And then in verse 20, the staff which was used for menial tasks before a serpent. You see all that in the Quran, all of different aspects. The letter S-I-N is Aquarius. Sin is Aquarius. The letter Sin, S-I-N, represents the sign of Aquarius in the Quran. Aquarius is opposite to Leo, which is the sign ruled by the sun. And therefore, Aquarius received the least amount of light or minimal attention. As a result, it is the least formal of all the signs because of formality in a behavior results from the impressions one may make on others. And since in Aquarius, there is no light, attention, hence formality is basically out of the question in this context. You must remember also, nobles, Aquarius is the sign of an individual who finds himself or herself free from cultural restrictions to express his or her uniqueness in the best possible way. Just like me, just because I'm a Moor, that don't hold me over. I'm a God man. I go in all the houses where our people at. My tassel ain't pinned down. Don't no man tell me where to go. I go in all houses. I'm under the triple rose. We're gonna save all our people, no matter what they call it. And then the sign of the anonymous individual, because they do not need any identity to exist, as opposed to Leo, which is the sign of the king, who will require to chart his whole ancestral lineage to express his personality. You know, the Quran says the following regarding the sign. I'm just going to give a little analogy of this. coin for them a similitude. The people of the city, when those sent from Allah came unto them, when we sent unto them twain, and they denied them both. So we reinforced them with a third, and they said, lo, we have been sent unto you. They said, you are but mortals, like unto us. The benefits, excuse me, the benefit that naught revealed, ye do not lie. They answered, our Lord, knoweth that we are indeed sent unto you. That's Surah 36, 13 to 16. And here, and there came from the uttermost part of the city a man running. He cried out, O my Lord. In that context, in verse 13, the people of the city is reference to a sign of Leo. And those sent from Allah is a reference to Aquarius, nobles. It says here that when the city people who were used to the traditional attitudes had come across the anonymous individuals with significantly radical or revolutionary information like we do, they rejected them on account of their cultural values. Just like when a God man come, initially you get rejected. And formality-based behaviors. And verse 14 says that the information of those two individuals got further confirmed by a third anonymous individual, like the Holy Spirit. It confirmed us when two or more gather. That's why I said everything that we say, it can be confirmed and we can rest our case. And in verse 20th, man from the utmost part of the city is referred to as what? Least formal member of the city. Yeah, it's there. Who could judge the message of those individuals in an unbiased fashion. That's what we do here at the BBT. That's what we do. The letter Nun, N-U-N, is Pisces. The letter Nun represents the sign of Pisces in the Quran. Astrologically, Pisces is the sign of rest, recuperation, when you recuperate, healing. Therefore, it embodies the behaviors of selflessness, generosity, and goodness, in the sign of spiritual mystics who would dance to the tune of the cosmos by submitting ourselves to the natural flow of currents. It's also the sign of the initiative type, intelligent people like you and I, who would never make decisions only on the basis of logic or analysis, but rather give our hearts the go at everything. The Quran explains the good attributes of the Pisces by stating a story of the anti-Pisces behavior. I don't want to read into that, but y'all got it. It'll take me forever. That's why I tell people to give donations where you can have the science. That's why we ask for small donations to our school, because we build our brothers and sisters libraries. I don't want you to just listen to me. I want you to touch it and feel it. This is the school. The BBT is the school, and we offer all this. So I'm going to jump over that because I don't want to stay too far in that. But that was my thesis on the letters of the Quran. You know, you got to read in the name of the Creator. You know, that's how you catch things. That's how you catch the Alf, the Lam, the Mem in the Surah Al-Bakari. You can go down a little bit more. I'll give a little bit more and we out of here. But we deal with the function of the mystery letters, the Alf, the Lam, the Mem, in connection to the Surah Al-Bakari of the Quran. That's what I'm trying to show y'all. All that symbolism, the initial synopsis of deciphering the mystery, abbreviation letters, is presented in this Quran breakdown. The letters Alf, Lam, Mem, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, the signs of Aries, the signs of Taurus, and the sign of Gemini together form the first astrological quadrant of the zodiac. This quadrant represents the spring season and the birth of a new astrological cycle, which culminates at the summer solstice, nobles, in the sign of Cancer. And these three signs cause the conditions that prepare us, human consciousness, for the rest of the cycle. And therefore they act as a school whereby the talents of potential candidates are modulated and streamlined to serve the grand plan of nature. As a consequence, human beings rise to our individual excellence through self-empowerment. I hear a lot of stuff in the background, nobles. Conducive environment and integrated behavior. Also, the apparent objective of this cipher and this chapter is to train your mind to play a constructive role in the dissemination of justice, equality, and order in a society. You got to remember the letter L Aries. That's the first sign of the astrological zodiac. And appropriately so, this cipher starts with an attitude of the sign of Aries. You got to understand that. This is the scripture whereof there is no doubt, a guidance unto those who ward off evil. It's a guidance. The sign of Aries demonstrates clarity of thought necessary to undertake effective actions. It also is the cardinal initiatory sign of the spring season, and therefore is the astrological tradition. It represents warlike, proactive attitudes to initiate a new cycle of life in existence, nobles. Aries is ruled by the astrological planet Mars, which is known for causing the attributes of enterprising, self-confidence, aggressiveness, and its influence on the human mind. Thus, the chapter begins by shedding away the attitudes of doubt regarding its message, which it proposes to be of a positive nature. And the chapter says regarding the significance of the sign of Aries, be guardians of your prayers and of the midmost prayer, and stand up with devotion to Allah. Remember, we do the Al-Salat. We stand up. I don't have a problem with a person doing the 5 prayers and the 5 salats. But here in more signs, we do the Al-Salat. So I want us to understand that. And the midmost prayer in the verse 238 is a metaphor for the sign of Aries, as it begins at the vernal equinox. It points when the day, when the night, when the duration is exactly the same, y'all. The Muslims observe the noon prayer, the Zuhar, to signify this as a daily ritual. Remember, a ritual, not meaning it's law. So I want us to stay in context, man. I just gave that little small synopsis. Like I give you the letter LAM. That's Taurus, because I'm gonna give y'all one more. Taurus is the fixed sign of spring. I hear a lot in the background, Nobles. I just hear a lot of chatter in the background. Somebody mute themselves, please. Can somebody mute themselves? Like somebody blowing their nose or something. But the letter Lamb, Taurus. Taurus is the fixed sign of spring and the second sign of the zodiac. Astrologically, Taurus represents the luxury that results from the abundance of material wealth and resources. The fruits here are ripe in the trees, and the spring has come into its full bloom, which makes Taurus to be ideally suited for the celebratory and the celebratory tendencies of nature. And this chapter of the Quran speaks extensively on the issues related to food, wealth, and resources that directly make subjects of discussion for the sign of Taurus. Remember, we briefly dealt with Taurus in my previous discussions about the letters from the standpoint of Moses' story, due to which this cipher is named the cow. And indeed, there are many more instances in the chapter of the Quran which regards to the stories of the children of Israel, like worship of the golden calf and foods in the form of manna and quails describing from the heaven. But here is referring to the verse of archetypal Taurus, that character that's concerned with the business activities in a Muslim society. I want y'all to understand that. I don't want to stay too far in it because it'd take me too long. I'm just giving a crash course. It'd take too long to do it. That's why I want y'all to be students. And the last letter I'm going to give, the letter MIM, which is Gemini. Gemini is the first mutable sign of the zodiac, which astrologically represents symbols and languages used from communication purposes between two distinct entities. The symbol of this sign is the twin imagery that describes the duality of every phenomena. Remember, things mirror themselves in material, physical existence, despite of having essentially the same form common in each one of them. The Gemini, therefore, recognizes the inherent universe and the multiverse, the macrocosm and the microcosm, the heaven and the earth, the consciousness and the space, and the logic and the chance. The sign of Gemini is the one which makes the mystery possible by analyzing the unknown, and the argument possible by questioning the facts. Also, it makes the hearsay possible by creating hysteria, and the vanity possible by hiding the truth. Over everything else, nobles, it causes the identification complex in human psychology that makes one to associate with the image of his personality and to categorize others on the basis of past experience. Therefore, the Gemini archetype, though being adventitious in a number of ways, also causes distinct duplications, behaviors, and hypocrisy of the Quran. So I don't want to read that verse, but in verse 213, it suggests conflicts in the community of man, and it causes by the spiritual corruption, which occurs when human beings refuse to take guidance from the heaven. The heavens, in more science, a prophet and an angel is someone clothed in the flesh. So when we choose to turn our back on these guides of the heavens, which is in man, that's when we fall off. So I don't want to stay too far in it. Like I said, I wanted to give a quick crash course. I didn't want to go too far, because if you hear me the first time, you're not going to catch what I'm saying, because you're not dealing with the astrological aspect of the Quran. You're dealing with the man-made aspect and the Kemetic wisdom of the Quran. You got to remember, the history of man bears witness to the great struggle for discovering the right formula to conduct affairs in various aspects of life. That's what we deal with ciphers. That's what we deal with astrological, and we deal with the nine. The great ideas of wisdom were incorporated into the mystery teachings of the ancient Egyptians, into the Hermeticism or the Kemeticism. That's what we teach. And man and woman, in our consciousness, we carry the weight of eternity that ever haunts us. We got to figure out this mathematical equation, y'all. Remember the depiction of the Quranic mysteries. You got to understand that the Quran is considered as the book of divine guidance. So we break this stuff down for an elementary kid can understand. So that's all I wanted to do, is just give a simple introduction as y'all study, as y'all go through the alphabet, as y'all break it down, the Elf, Aries, conflict, the LAM, Taurus, wealth, the MIM, Gemini, speech, the SAD, Cancer, authority, the Ra, Leo equals community, the KAF equals Virgo, that's your tactic. The Ha is Libra, justice, Scorpio, commitment, that's the Ya. The AIN equals Sagittarius, that's your vision. The Ta equals the Capricorn, the action. The Sin, Aquarius, rebellion, and the Nun, the Pisces, the patience. And the mystery letters of the Quran, according to their combination, astrologically, and we dealing with astronomy, it influenced as they appear in the prefixes of the chapters as groups. When you deal with the Alf, the Lam, the Mem, that's the conflict about wealth and speech. The Alf, the Lam, the Mem, the Sad. When you read in the Quran, that's the conflicts about wealth, speech, and authority. The Alf, the Lam, the Ra, that's the conflicts about wealth and community. The Kaf, Ha, Ya, and Sa, the tactics for justice, commitment, vision, authority. Taha, the action for justice. Tasinmim, the action of rebellion and speech. Tasin, the action of rebellion. Yasin, the commitment of rebellion. Sad or Sa, the authority. Hammim, the speech for justice. Hamim, An, Sin, Kaf, the speech for justice, vision, commitment, and tactic. You see this cipher, the Kaf or the Kaf, the tactic, the Nun equals patience. And then it's just a cipher, how to read certain things. I don't even want to get into Joseph and all that, but it's so much more that I want to give, but I just want to tread lightly, because right now, like I said, we on that breast milk right now. And I don't want to take people into the third heaven where you haven't even had the time to go through the documents yourself and to ask certain questions. I'll be taking you to a place, uncharted waters, because you don't have your protective gear on. You don't have a life jacket on. So I don't want to take nobody out in the middle of the water, Noble Malik, and they drown and they be all the way up to their neck. I'm showing you. And when people be asking me, well, how can I join class? I teach everything systematically. I teach everything systematically. And then when I teach privately for stuff that I don't want the regular world to know. And you must be a student and commit. So I want to stop right there. I don't want to go too much further. But did y'all get a little introduction of where I'm going as I'm synchronizing this Quran and the ayats into the astrological signs, making it universal, dealing with the
Absolutely.
nine?
Absolutely.
It's very simple.
Here with you.
Yes, y'all got the document. I challenge y'all to open it up, to read it, and start making this stuff simple, because everything that they took in the biblical scriptures that they made outside, it symbolized everything inside. as I break that down. And a true sheik, a true map, and a guy is going to teach his brothers and sisters the esoteric and the exo. That's what a true Sufi is. It's nothing outside of ourselves, nobles. So I want us to be clear with that wisdom as we continue to learn and as we continue to go on. You got a few chapters with this, man, and I challenge y'all to go through that and then go back into your clock of destiny and go back into the astrological signs and start synchronizing this. Because here at the BBT, remember, we on a whole nother level of thinking. With our Masonic science, we're spirit builders. I take this way. We're not no 32 and 33 degrees, no snowman wisdom. And the analogy in the Bible when Jesus died at 33, that's snowman wisdom. We're 99. We're 33 times 3. So I'm teaching.
You just said a whole lot.
Yes.
You just said a whole lot right there. The snowman wisdom at 33 degrees, the age 33. Wow,
yes.
That is masonry at its finest. To keep us under the ice, under the water, frozen.
Yes,
wow.
Malik. They say your wisdom stops at 32 and 33. That's an analogy in the Bible. That's also an analogy in masonry, where they stopped the Negro masonry, the East Hall. They stopped them brothers at 32 and 33 degrees where water freezes. They cut them. They're not dealing with the 720. They're not dealing with the SO and the XO. They're not. The Negro is the joke of masonry, not the European, because the European will tell you that he is son of a Muslim. It's us brothers that's lost, that call themselves some widow's son. And it's these brothers that's Freemason preachers and Freemason Moors that are lying to their brothers. But right now, we are taking the veil of all the so-called secret societies and showing you that we are the craft. We are the shrine. You don't have to take the veil.
I gotta say.
Yeah. You must be initiated with wisdom. And we're going to continue to learn, Noble Malik. That's what this is. This is a lifetime cipher. Anytime somebody come to you and say they know it all, you should run, because it's too much to learn. We're going to learn until we dead. We continue to learn at the BBT.
Gratitude for throwing the alley-oop, though. Gratitude for throwing the alley-oop just now on the 33.
Yep. And that's what they teach those brothers in masonry. They tassel pin down, their wisdom don't flow freely, and they stop. They shut their ladder at 32. But we go past that. That's an analogy in the Bible. That's lower level wisdom to keep the Christian brothers locked down and keep them off the spiritual aspect, keep them off the analogy and parable of the symbology, where all they know is the basics. All they know is the generalities. And the Bible is a spirit book, analogy and parable. Most of them brothers is lost. And most of the Moorish brothers are lost too, because they operate on hate and they operate on anger and on some sovereign citizen stuff. And that's an oxymoron. You can't be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time. We are Moorish Americans and we love America. So with that being said, man, I give y'all honor, man. I want to stop right there for y'all can study, for y'all can study. So with that being said, man, any questions?
No, not for me. I'm good.
I'm good, man. Anybody got anything they want to add?
I like to add as you go so it don't get lost.
Right. Y'all got the wisdom. I think I sent it to everybody, man. All I asked is for a small donation. I got some more of the Zohar stuff I'm gonna send y'all too. I got y'all about like 5 books, and I want to send y'all just for a small donation, though, so y'all can study, so you can put this stuff together, so you can start looking at your life. You can look at your empress life. You can look at your kid's life. You can start dealing with people on an astrological plane. You can start figuring out why a person reacts, why a person not reacting. And you can kind of have an understanding as you go through life, and you don't be mad at things. You don't blame the creator. You have a clear understanding, and that show you how to operate at a higher level on this earth plane. It show you how to operate on a maximum capacity. It show you how to operate 720. Islam. Study those teachings, man. With that, let's do our Moorish American prayer, and we out of here, man.
All right. Allah, Father of universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Drew Ali, Amin Ashe, Shalom Alaikum, Arashar, Inshallah and Ashe. Peace, 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 peace.
Anybody got our benediction handy? Anybody got our benediction handy?
No, I don't have it handy.
Yep. I'm gonna break down, like I said, I'm gonna break down more of the Jumantra. I'm gonna break down more of the Sephirots. I'm gonna break down more of the Seven Seals. But I challenge brothers to hit me up. Give me a call. I want you to come with us on StreamYard to be my guest. I want you to be my guest in Sunday school. I want you to be my guest in book club. I'm trying to build this our community, man. And please donate to our temple and school. Don't mind. We use Zelle, and it's to our number 602-473-8767. And if you got Venmo, that's going to be going down at the bottom as well. If you have Venmo, you download it on your phone, and you can support our temple and school it's Burning Bush Tabernacle on Venmo, Burning Bush Tabernacle at BBT Science Temple. On Venmo, it's Burning Bush Tabernacle at BBT Science Temple. And send me an email so I can make sure you get literature. I'll talk back. I want you to be a guest. I want you to learn. I want to help you build your library. Because at the BBT, we have a full library with over 1 million books and documents that we convert to PDF or we print and bind. And you don't have to go to Amazon and continue to make Jeff Bezos rich off some paper. We converted that stuff and we offer everything for a fraction of the price. And that's what we do here at the BBT. So gratitude for everybody taking time out y'all day. Please support our temple and school. Y'all hit me up, man. Send me an email. Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. Hit me up. Hit me up, man. Send a donation to our school. I can put books in your hand. I've written so much literature. I want to help you learn so we can resurrect ourselves. I want to see turbans and fezzes back in the world like the prophet said, as we doing at the BBT. We provide fezzes and turbans. Get with me, man. We got all the books, everything you need. We got teas. We got everything for you. So please get with us, man. Give me an email. Email my yachts. Email my noble, my yachts, myyachtssons@gmail.com. Email my noble. Email me at Goodman, KHARY @gmail.com. Our information is on there. You see my phone number. My office number is right on there. You see that number right on there? We real people. We want to bring people together. We want brothers to learn. And as I can teach you things and can put stuff in your hand, I have things that I have to be initiated into. I have ancient documents that cost thousands. I have history books that Amazon charges for thousands and hundreds of dollars. And we have those here at our temple and school. So once again, please support our school with your charitable donations. And you also will get a tax-exempt receipt. Anything you need, we can help y'all, man. You need a turban, you need feathers, you need Moorish regalia. We got that at MoorishHaberdasher.com. Or just send me an email and talk to me, one-on-one. And I'll be your source for anything you need, any books, any wisdom, anything you need. Y'all got my number. There's no reason why we can't connect no more. My number right on there. I need all our brothers and sisters. Share this on y'all pages when I'm live. Share this with your friends as we can start coming to your area, to your domicile. You got 10 to 20 people, man, everybody put $100 together, put that donation together. I'll come to your city, give you everything. Get your mind right, get your body right, show you how to build, show you how to buy things in your community, show you how to be a business, show you how to take yourself out of public and make it private. That's what we're doing here. We're building a community. And I'm here to help all my brothers and sisters because it's one nationality and many cultures. Malik, you got anything you want to share as we close, Noble?
Actually, yes. I would just ask people to ask themselves where, besides your school or education, where you had to pay or you went for free, because the people that are teaching you was getting paid to do a job, right? Here, we're not paid. We're just asking for donations, and you get literature put in your hands that you have most likely been privy to, or maybe you've been introduced to by somebody else. Most of this information don't fall in your hands just by osmosis. It's a divine plan. It's divine guidance. So just take a minute and think. Like, you went to school, then people was paid to teach you whatever they was instructed to teach you curriculum wise. K through 12, K through 6 was the only time that you really actually essentially learned anything. Anything after that is regurgitated unless you come across information like this. So think to yourself, right? He's not asking to get paid an hourly wage or anything like that. He's asking for donations so that we can keep this process up and put information in your hands that most people haven't been privy to or even thought about even fathoming the idea. And maybe you did have an idea. Maybe when you went to school, certain things wasn't resonating with you, but now you come across this information, but you tippy-toeing in. The only way you're going to find out is do what the Bible says or any holy book says. It says, prove all things, hold fast to what is good, right? So out your life, you get rid of all the stuff that, that you can't prove, and the stuff you can prove, you bring it along for your journey. So I ask you to open your mind and think about that for a second. Gratitude. I
Exactly.
digress.
Gratitude, gratitude. And like I said, man, we a temple, we a school, a group of brothers. We have information, we have literature, we have systematic classes. We opening our doors. Like I said, a person that go to college and getting $100,000 debt, you can come to the BBT, learn history, learn civics, learn finances for small donations, and get a tax exempt receipt. The education that I give here, the science and the spirituality that I give here, you can't go to college and get this education because I did it. I went and got a bachelor's degree. I went and got to do a master's degree, and I'm anointed and consecrated. So I'm bringing all that to our cipher, and I'm asking my brothers and sisters to support. That's the only way we can do anything is support with the help of our brothers and sisters. It ain't just for me to spend my money. It's for brothers to take a portion of their finances and support and understand that we don't have to give our money to Uncle Sam, that we can support our religious and charitable contribution of our choice and get a tax exempt receipt and continue to build so we can have our next brick and mortar so brothers can start coming to visit our temple. So we can be on a grand stage when we start traveling to other people's states. So brothers don't be having to get on the internet and get hustled by someone telling them that they're going to nationalize them or telling them they're going to take their couple dollars and make them this and that and the other. I can show you and debunk all that to show you how we can come together and do real business the right way, because it's only one way. And you want to learn everything before you jump in it. So with that being said, man, y'all, thank you. All that gave donations, hit me up. Like I said, that's my number. Y'all saw my Gmail. Anything you need, y'all need turbans, y'all need fezzes, y'all need books, or just come to class, man. Anything that you want to ask, my communication is open. And we need our brothers and sisters. We need our empresses. We definitely need the children as we start to teach the children early what we learn late, where you can see your kid going to school with a turban on. So you can see your kid going to school with a fez on. So when it's time to write in so-called Black history, they'll write from first century history and remove that Black stuff, remove those adjectives, and they'll use proper nouns of identifying themselves. And they'll be able to speak clearly on the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment. They'll be able to speak clearly on the misuse of Negro, Black, and color, and African American, and they can speak from scholarship as the clock of destiny. So with that being said, man, I give y'all honor, I give y'all love. Nobles, I'll be sending y'all some more wisdom from the Zohar that synchronize all the teachings. And brothers and sisters that follow me on my YouTube page, please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page, which is Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Please subscribe to our YouTube well page. We also on Facebook as well at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. And family, please get the likes up. Please get the likes up. Somebody said, man, Sheik, you should have been with viral with all this information. And I said, make me go viral. You know, I'm not gonna conform myself to act niggly. Yes, I need the people. And I'm not gonna, how can I say, Malik, conform myself to act niggly on here for likes and followers. I'm gonna continue to teach, regardless if it fill up a room or clear it out. That's what we use this platform for, to teach and educate, to show our people that it's another way, to show our people that we can come out of this coma and come out of this mentally blind stuff and be who we are as a people, have a nationality, have a spirituality, and have a status. And we're Moorish Americans, you know, and our status is free white. There's nothing Black about us, because Black is synonymous with slavery. And I want all our people to know that as we continue to teach. Yes, we love Black, but Black is not our nationality. We're going to be specific with everything. So I love y'all, man. I give gratitude for y'all time. See y'all tomorrow at 9 a.m. for workout. And tomorrow is Sunday school. We're going to have an amazing spiritual day for Sunday school. And once again, we just ask everybody that jump on our page, please share it and please like it. If you don't even have nothing to give a donation, please hit me up. I still want to put some literature in your hand. I at least want to put my book and the Moorish Quran in your hand. At least I'll give you the Moorish Quran, and I'll give you one of my books, the Divine Interpretation of the Divine Creed of Moorish Islam. And then as you start getting comfortable with donating, I'll start giving you more books, because I've written and compiled a few books to help you understand the science on a basic understanding, to where you can't get shammed by somebody on the internet talk about they're going to nationalize you or do all this you will have a level of understanding to where no one can come that look like you with a whole bunch of magical mystic words that means nothing. I would have already saved your life on that level. I already saved your life where you ain't going to expatriate in a de facto government. You're not going to give your citizenship up. You're not going to do that. I'm going to teach you those aspects first. It's only one temple. It's only one science. And I love y'all, man. Anything else?
Nope.
Gratitude, man, and love for y'all time. Once again, y'all see our information. You see if you want to give a donation to our school, we use Zelle with that number, 602-473-8767. Make sure you send me a Gmail at goodmancurry@gmail.com. I'll correspond with you and make sure you get some free literature. And if you got Venmo, I'm going to have that going down at the bottom again, hopefully tomorrow if my Mufti Alonzo Wright Bay have time to put it on there. We use Venmo as well. And it's connected to our temple and school, which is Burning Bush Tabernacle. And then it's at BBT Science Temple. So on Venmo, it's Burning Bush Tabernacle at BBT Science Temple. You will see my face and my picture. And please send me an email at goodmankary@gmail.com so I can talk to you, so I can correspond with you, so I can make sure you get literature, so I can make sure I answer all the questions that you have on your heart. Because that's what I'm here to do. I'm never going to arbitrarily explain nothing to tell you how I feel, because you shouldn't care how I feel. You should want the truth, and the truth will make you free. That's all you should want. I'm not going to operate on feeling. I operate on law and science, and that's what makes me feel good. We don't arbitrarily explain nothing here. So once again, man, we give y'all love, we give y'all honor, and thank y'all for y'all support.
Gratitude.
Peace out.
Peace and love.
Can you lead us out? Gratitude.
You're what you own. What you mean, what you own. You're what you own.